All right, so as requested and as promised, I'm diving into a series of underrated exercises. And today we're just going to be focusing on one of those exercises, and it might be the most underrated exercise of them all, and that is sprinting. So I think sprinting is arguably one of the most important exercises, let alone underrated exercises someone can do. And let me break down 3 reasons why I think that is. Reason number 1 is that it's a pure max intensity effort movement, right? You can think about squatting, you can think about deadlifting and all these other things that require max intensity, but in all these situations you need load, weight. With sprinting, you just need your body weight, and guess what? You can do it for as long of a distance as you really want. Obviously, you're not going to go sprinting like 800 meters, but you can sprint, say, 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. You have variability. With a 1 rep max back squat, you don't have that variability. And to piggyback on that one, it's cyclic in nature, meaning your limbs are moving rhythmically one into the next. So on like a max effort squat, which is a single big tension 1 rep movement, a sprint is just a body weight, max intensity cyclic movement. Number 2 is, for the most part, we all kind of know how to sprint, right? We grow up sprinting. It's embedded in our central nervous system. Like, you can't say the same for that of a squat, a deadlift, a hang clean, a bench press. All these movements have to be taught. Sprinting is something that is, well, innate to us. And so I think it's important that we train that ability because it is so, well, innate to our own being. Number 3 is that it requires rhythm and coordination. I think rhythm and coordination when it comes to movement and general development of the human body is so important. With most weight exercises, there's not much rhythm or coordination involved. Yeah, you might be able to argue a hang clean or a snatch is very demanding coordinatively, and that's 100% true. But it's not cyclic repeated motion over and over again in the same way that a sprint is. Number 3 is that it's just generally very metabolically demanding and is a high potent stimulus. So it's something that's going to evoke fast twitch muscle fiber recruitment. It's going to evoke high glycolytic rates of production of energy. It's going to challenge your body to work really hard and produce as much energy as possible. And so it can be used for both conditioning, if you're doing some sort of a HIIT interval, sprint time on and off, or it could just be purely used for max effort. I want to sprint and recover and then do it again and see how fast I can run. And lastly, number 4, I'll throw a bonus one in, is that it involves ground impacts. So when we talk about ground impacts, talk about running, our feet hitting the ground. These impacts send signals to the muscles as well as the tendons and the bone structure to develop in a specific way. Just doing isolated preacher curls is not going to have the impact, the physical impact, the jarring of the skeletal system that running will have. So yes, that's a pro, but you could also argue that's some of a con, because for someone who's not prepared to run, the fact that there is jarring might mean that you are more likely to have some sort of overuse injury if you overdo it initially, but you could make that same argument for just about any exercise that exists. So I think all in all, sprinting is one of the most underrated exercises. I know we all kind of understand and appreciate that it's important, but how often do you actually see people sprint? We see lots of people jogging, we see lots of people maybe pushing a prowler, but we don't see many people sprinting. And when I mean sprinting, you don't have to run at 100% effort. Maybe 90%, 85%, on that higher end range of running fast. So all in all, I think sprinting is one of the most underrated movements out there. Yes, it requires some time to build back into it if you haven't been doing it, but that's the case for any exercise. No one would just say go squat a 1 rep max if you haven't squatted before. I'm not saying go sprint if you haven't sprinted in a while. Build into it, but sprinting has many, many benefits beyond just that. The fact that it's easy to do, it requires, well, minimal equipment, but there's lots of physiological, neurological, and muscular aspects that you can benefit from when it comes to sprinting.